and welcome to the latest Mud Queens Muddcast, and this is Jojo. I'm exchanging one doctor for a soon-to-be another doctor in Ginger Lacey. Some of you may know who she is. She's our virtual run bitch. How's it going, Ginger?
Hello, thank you for having me on. Yep, I'm super well, thank you. How are you today?
I'm alright, slightly kissed by the sun.
Oh, welcome to my ginger world.
Oh, I know. I love it. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're chatting about injuries because I think it's actually a really important thing to talk about, especially with the season really starting to kick off now, and some stuff that we've seen post-wise where people are putting their races over their health. So why we've got Ginger on is because she does deal with injury. She's been my chiropractor for like the last 6 months or so, trying to fix me. So, I mean, what do you do, Ginger?
Okay, well, I've been a sports masseur for 10 years now. I absolutely love rehabbing of injuries, particularly in sports people. I had an Olympic dressage rider as one of my clients. I've worked with, you name it, all sorts of injuries the whole way along. And I'm now in my 5th year, hopefully soon to graduate as a chiropractor, with an aim of to specialise and go into sports types injuries.
Well, see, that's what I love about you, is that you're about functional fitness. And I think I was a little bit scared when I first went to the chiropractor that they were just going to be like, bam, you're fixed for now, and then I'll just have to keep coming back. You know, those people that just want to take your money, basically.
Yeah, I mean, chiropractors have come a long way since their origin of whack it, crack it mentality, but I think because of my sports massage background and because I'm probably one of the most accident prone people you will ever meet, I've spent a good part of my life looking into functional injuries, and it's become quite a passion of mine. I like understanding how the body works. Why is it that I stubbed my toe yesterday and it's my neck that's hurting today? I like understanding the chains in between it, and I think it's really important for people to educate their patients nowadays and for people to understand their bodies. So when we're racing, it can be something quite as simple as, I'm a little bit off balance when I do this, and it can be maybe a functional chain problem. And by functional chain, I mean that we have chains of muscles in our bodies that interact with each other. Some of them run from your feet the whole way up, cross across your back, and then go up to the opposite side of the head. And by understanding how these chains work, we can actually train smarter and do more purposeful practice. I think a lot of you may have seen some of mine and Joe's posts when we boulder with our purposeful practice. And you can actually start aiming to train smart, so you're not just isolating one muscle group, which doesn't necessarily help you in a race. You're training a whole group of muscles that can then actually work together and fire up together when you need them.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So we got a few people to message in some questions for you. Yeah. So one of the questions, I'm going to fire it at you.
Bada bing, bada boom. Da, da,
yeah.
da, da, da.
So we've got one from Kyra who says, what's the best way of strengthening your ankles to prevent rolling them again in the future? Which I think for OCR is like the number one injury, isn't it?
Yeah, with anything, there's a huge amount of ankle rolling when you get into trail running and anything on an uneven surface. A lot of it is because nowadays we walk on flat ground. We wear amazingly big padded shoes that don't let our feet work how they should.
Hold on, so does that mean then we should all go out and buy what are those shoes with the 5 fingers?
Oh, the Vibrams. Yeah, no. And that's a choice people can make.
That's a choice.
That's if you really want to go into primal type of exercise and primal type of function, yes. But I think what sometimes happens with those is people don't transition properly. So they go from a 3-inch trainer. 3-inch? Wow.
3-inch?
Wow.
I've not seen anybody doing any OCRs in heels.
And ladies and gentlemen, I am dyslexic, so if I get my numbers wrong, please bear with me. Sort of a 3-centimetre padded trainer, and then they go by these 5 fingers. They go for their first run the next day. Barefoot, yeah. They go for a run the next day, and then they get shin splints. That's something we'll cover in a minute because I'm really good at digressing. But for ankle stability, ways you can build it up are things that we've all seen people post. I stand on one foot brushing my teeth. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Start by standing on one foot, then close your eyes, then stick your arms out to the side with your eyes closed and see how long you can stay in that position. one of the things when it comes to ankle stability, and you'll notice if you've never stood on one leg and closed your eyes, what happens is you get a bit of a wobble on. And that's something called proprioception. And that's your brain-body connection of your brain knowing what your body's doing. So I'm standing on one foot now and my brain is happy that my foot is where it is. If you take your eyes out of the equation, your brain suddenly goes, where are we? And starts flapping in an easy term.
Yeah.
And that effectively is what's happening when you're running. Most people will do a trail run and will feel more tired than on a road run. And that's because a road run is flat and your brain is happy with where it's going. You have to concentrate a lot more on a trail run, and it uses a lot more ligaments and stability in that ankle.
Yeah.
So the moment you shut your eyes, you're working that more. And as a few people in the past that I've treated know, I then get really creative with my rehab. So I get you...
Didn't you get like Lulu to sing while balancing on a wobble board?
Yes, so it's taking the brain away and making you use things. So Lulu is one of my success cases from her ankle rolling. I had her doing everything from hopping, so put a cross on the floor, hop back and forth between, you can hop diagonally. I wouldn't recommend hopping with your eyes closed in a unsafe environment because, if you fall over the couch or the cat, I'm not taking the blame for that. But you can do hopping. Wobble board work is excellent for it, just gently going back, forth, side to side. Then, like I did with Lulu, you can make them sing. So have somebody throw a ball at you while you're singing, and you'll find actually you lose your balance a lot more. So it actually works the whole system, and it works your glutes at the same time. Because your glutes, i.e. your butt muscles, are really strongly linked with ankle proprioception. So if your butt muscles aren't working properly, you'll probably find that actually you roll your ankles a lot more. There's been a lot of research out recently looking at the butt and your ankles and how you roll it. And actually, for anyone that's interested, there's some really good stuff out there actually linked with learning difficulties and glute activation.
No!
Yeah, there's some amazing stuff coming out with how you can sort of help people with autism and things like that by working through...
Does someone come up with that?
I don't know, but it works.
Oh my God, I know. I wake up one day and go, got a bloody good idea. Yeah. Can we just go and test this?
Well, there was a great one that I read actually a couple of months ago, and it was a case study based on an autistic girl that just was constantly falling over, and they put her favourite music on through headphones, and if they put it in her left ear, it improved her right body function. So they would work her on wobble boards, listening, depending on what they're working, they would have a headphone in on the opposite side. And it would help. But the moment they took the headphones away, she would start losing balance again. So it was almost like it was distracting certain parts of her brain, and it was helping with that proprioception and getting her working through it.
Whoa.
I'll send you the research, actually. It was amazingly interesting. But where were we? Yes, so it's... Butt muscles and ankle stability, yeah. So there's lots of things. I mean, I've seen a lot of people go, just strap it up and run. The problem with strapping your ankle is you're stopping the muscles from actually supporting the joint itself. So those muscles need to build up their strength. So if you're going to strap, don't do it every time.
Right.
Also, trail running is brilliant for you because it's an uneven surface. Everyone says, I always roll my ankle the moment I go on something uneven. It's like, well, are you used to walking on uneven surfaces? Oh, no.
Right. So what you're actually saying is not advocating if anybody's got really crappy ankles, quick run out onto a trail.
No.
You're saying actually build up to it, then go on trail, not like quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Hop on the trainers, let's go.
Just like with the barefoot running, with everything, you need to adapt and build up into it.
Yeah.
It's like the people that will suddenly wake up one day and go, I want to go for a run, go for a 5-mile run, die the next day and never do it again.
Yeah.
It's building up gradually, getting your body used to the movement.
It's that smart training game, isn't it?
It is.
And
it's smart training.
Recover smart, purposeful practice. Have a goal in mind, build up to it rather than just, going straight for your 1 rep max. It's like, be smart about it. Okay.
Yeah, and the purpose practice in that includes recovery days. A lot of people will throw themselves into exercise, hammer and tong straight away and be like, yes, going to do everything and not give themselves a day off.
Okay.
And then wonder why they're starting to have injuries.
Yeah.
And with that, for anyone that's interested, there's a great book out there called The Supple Leopard by Kelly Starrett.
Yes.
Who's a world-renowned, he is world-renowned now, WOD designer who really advocates the use of voodoo flossing, which is like a tight rubber band that you tie really tightly around a joint, or a joint or even a muscle belly, actually, as long as you don't do it around your neck. Trust me, I'm sure somebody's probably tried.
Please don't.
I promise I won't. And what that does is you've got, over your muscles, you've got almost a second skin between your skin and your muscles called the fascia. And your fascia actually is completely sealed within your body. It basically just continues running. There's no stop anywhere. And what that can do is you can get fascial restrictions, and this is where your chains come in. This is why you can roll your ankle and then get shoulder pain, because the fascia is all linked up to each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it always blows my mind when that, even though I know it, it still blows my mind that your body is so connected.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And what you do is when you put geek, love it as well, is what you do with these type bands is you wrap it on and then you move the joint through its range of motion. So whether it's, say, your ankle, point your toes away, point your toes up, do some circles. And what that does is it's causing a fascial shear. So it's releasing restrictions within that. And the research on voodoo bands, or whatever you want to call them, is actually, there's no scientific research.
There's a paucity of research.
There is, very much so, but there is a plethora of anecdotal evidence, i.e. I tried it, it worked for me, and in my case I did. I kind of looked at it and went, you want me to rub a what around my ankle or what? And I tried it and I improved my ankle mobility within a week by quite a significant amount. I mean, I didn't measure it, but I noticed the difference and I wasn't stumbling. So, but he goes through a lot of mobility drills, things like, and you don't have to buy these things. If you've got a tight muscle, stick your thumb in it. Yeah. Stick your thumb in it and move it. You get to know your body and how your body works, and you will start to understand what works for you. You know, you hear it a lot that, oh, everyone always recommended this and it hasn't worked for me. We'll find what does
it's
work
like
for you.
one size doesn't fit all, and
Exactly.
that literally is with everything in life. One size doesn't fit.
Yeah, exactly.
Fit all. It really is. I found that because what works for me doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
It's like the tape, isn't it? The rock tape.
Yeah. Oh my god, dude. Right. So this is true, right? You know, the KT tape, rock tape, whatever.
Yeah.
Different colours mean different glues.
Yeah, so they have to use different colours for the different glues for the different colours of the tape. And what this actually means is that, like, for example, blue rock tape, blue KT does not stick to me at all. For years I've gone, don't buy the blue, it's rubbish. And yet most of my friends use blue. And what I found out was actually that because of the difference in the glue for the colours to match, it actually suits different skin types.
See, I just thought it was like, oh, I like red, so I'm going to wear red.
Yeah, well, it's not, they don't really advertise it, but I've been told by quite a few people now that if you go back through the research, you can actually find that it does say. So when it comes to tape, it's just, don't give up on it, just try a different colour.
But then, is that like is it the same for every brand though? So blue for every brand is the same, or you're going to have to literally stick with a brand and find your colour?
Yeah, pretty much. So it's maybe worth... I mean, I use Sports Direct Pink, and it's made by Rock Tape, but it's quarter of the price. Yeah. So it's a bit like the brand, you know, you go to Tesco's, other shops are available, and you'll buy their coffee, but their coffee's made in like a Nestle, is that how you pronounce it? Nestle? Yeah, made in like a Nestle factory, so it's like...
Yeah, but cheaper.
Yeah, but cheaper, with the brand on instead. Yeah. So it's exactly the same thing.
That's really crazy, because like rock tape and that, it's all been around for quite a while now. Yeah. And I always just I just took for it. I was like, oh, well, I don't like pink, so I'm not going to buy pink. Yeah. But now, knowing my bloody luck, I'll end up having to buy bloody pink.
Well, I got really upset because in Australia they released one with horseshoes on it, and a friend of mine bought me one back and it didn't like my skin. Wouldn't stick. So I got really upset because I wanted my horsey rock tape and it didn't work.
Loser.
P.S. Horsey, anyway. Not unicorn.
So, we're just keeping in the same vein with the ankle. We had Miranda write in and say she has an anterior ankle pain, like a pinch. She had it 5 months after an ankle sprain. She's had rehab. She's done rehab on it. But what the heck is up with that? Because it's still happening. Is it a case that it could be the rehab that she's done is not right for her?
It could be. It really does depend on the kind of ankle sprain. Which ligaments? Were they on the inside? Were they on the outside? Was there a muscle sprain strain involved? Usually though, what you can't see, people, here is I'm using my hand to show Joe what an ankle looks like when I could just use my foot.
Dyslexic.
Dyslexic is that you have a bone called the talus, in fact, in the ankle. And what happens is when you go to flex your foot, i.e. you narrow the joint so that you're bringing your shin bone down towards your foot, that bone, if he's not quite in the right place or he's restricted in his movement, will actually pinch at the front there. And one of the things you can do again is mobility drills. So we're not talking about stretching, we're actually talking about working the area. So using maybe resistance bands, hopping. One of the things that usually works quite well is to get a resistance band so it's round the front of the ankle, take it so it's in a full stretch, and then go into a lunge so you're physically holding the resistance band is moving that joint and working through it. And actually drop me a message on that one, Miranda, if you want any pictures or anything on that one. But that's usually the reason why you get the pinch in front of there. And also get your calves and lower legs and massaged or work through them yourself, because quite often the muscles will get quite tight.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Miranda,
thank you.
Hit her up, man. Hit her up. All right, so we've got another foot one. Jen Watkins. I've had plantar fasciitis since late November. I've tried resting lots and I foam roll it regularly, but still showing little sign of improvement. Any other suggestions?
So plantar fasciitis, excuse the term, but it can be a total fucker. It's literally an inflammation where the plantar fascia, the base of the foot, gets really tight and sore. Again, this is actually how I met a couple of other mud queens in the group quite a while ago, Lulu being one of them, because she got misdiagnosed and she actually got made worse by a therapist, which is why I messaged and sort of said, hey, something's not ringing right there. So with plantar fasciitis, you really do need to get a manual therapist, whether it's a chiropractor, an osteopath, a physio, a sports masseur. Just find somebody that suits you, because again, not one fits everybody sort of scenario, and really get them to work in there. Some people react really well to dry needling, so a bit like acupuncture, only without the fancy 3-year degree. Jojo's smirking at me because I put needles in her the other day. One of the things that is really worth trying to get hold of, and I think some people may have seen it around in the main OCR group recently, is Shockwave, which is a machine that uses an acoustic setting. So not like ultrasound with the ultrasonic waves, but it uses an acoustic setting where it literally hammers the fascia, and it the fascia, which is like that second skin that I spoke about earlier. And what it does is it creates an inflammation response. So quite often you feel a little bit worse afterwards, but it's actually encouraging all of the parts of your body that you need to send the blood flow to the area with all the bits that you need to actually help it get better. Now, Shockwave is ridiculously expensive, so it's definitely worth finding yourself a student practitioner or a student college, because there are people out there that will charge you about 80 quid per session. Where
Jesus.
I know, where like my uni and a lot of other ones, again, whether it's physio, osteopath, whoever, will have these Shockwave machines, and it's actually included in the treatment price that you pay. So actually you pay your £19, you get your soft tissue work, your adjustments, whatever, and you get the Shockwave on top.
And you're doing the student a solid, because then they get to work on somebody.
True, yeah, exactly. And the
everybody wins.
Yeah, and the thing with plantar fasciitis also, so you've said that you've been rolling it, brilliant. Look at how your whole body is moving, because something will have upset that foot to begin with. Whether it was new shoes, whether you started moving slightly differently in your body, there's something that has caused that, and it's not necessarily come from the foot. So definitely get somebody to have a look at, check your back out, check your butt, your nice big glute muscles, get all those looked into.
Look at your functional chain.
Look at your functional chains, exactly. Look at the movement you're doing as well.
I'm learning.
You're learning.
Okay, so moving up the body, just slightly. We have Joelle. My calves always get really tight really quickly. I've tried foam rolling / stretching, but still have issues. What can I do?
So this again comes back to my fabulous functional chains.
God damn it.
God damn it.
Broken goddamn racket.
I am. Well, if people want to know more about these, go on, you can Google or go onto Instagram, look up the functional movement guys, look up anatomy trains. There's so much, and it makes sense when you look at the diagrams and you sit there and go, oh,
yeah,
that's why. It's things like why when you do rings and things, there's like cycling movements and things actually help you, because it's the way the muscles all attach within the body. So I don't need brute force to do monkey bars. I don't need to have massive biceps. I can actually swing my body and get a pendulum up. But when you're penduluming, you're firing up muscles like your hip flexors and things at the same time. But that wouldn't necessarily work if you didn't have a functional chain, something that it built up to. So tight calves, it's a combination. It could be the way you're walking. So maybe get a gait analysis, get your trainer checked out. There's quite a lot of shops available around that you can phone up, and not all of them charge a fortune, but just be wary because they will try and sell you their product. So it's usually worth getting a couple of opinions. There are physios out there that can get you on a treadmill and watch you move and just have a look and see. If it's not coming from the feet, then have a look higher up, because it could be maybe you're not firing your glutes when you're running. So if your butt doesn't fire when you run, what happens is when you start getting tired, your lower back tire and your core tires first.
Oh my God, that's me!
It's you! And you shorten in your lower back.
Yeah.
So this means that you use other muscles instead. So it's really important to keep an eye on your posture when you're running, because that's quite often why these tight areas do suddenly appear. I think we've discussed this before, haven't we, about having a running buddy, somebody that you don't get upset if they go, oi, what the hell are you doing there? I mean, Joe's really good at telling me when I've got shit form. Thanks. So one of the options that you can do if you run by yourself is you can get some tape, so KT tape, whatever you fancy, Boots Finest, £1.40 I think it is, and you can actually tape it on your back. So put a strip across your shoulders and a couple of strips down your lower, so when you start slumping, posture starts fatiguing, you can feel it pull, and it just gives you like a little, oh
my God, I'm totally doing that.
Yeah.
Because you know what they do at Sports Pursuit are doing like those pecto things, and it's like 60 quid to make sure that your posture is right.
Yeah.
For like this 60 quid band, when all you have to do is that.
Yeah, just stick a bit of tape on your back. Put it on reasonably tightly so that the moment you bend even slightly forward, you feel it pull.
Life hack.
Then when you go for a run, you'll have the exact same thing. Because we've all seen that runner, who's usually me, going down the road and they look like they're dying, their head's drooped, they're flailing a little bit, potentially looking like they're from Shaun of the Dead.
I feel like I always look like a tank.
You look like a tank? Oh,
Yeah.
I go for like half-dead zombie.
Nice.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I look the same 10 minutes into a run as I do an hour into a run, that I'm bright
Purple
red.
head.
Yeah, bright red in the head and dying.
Yeah.
So sexy.
You so are.
I am. Yeah, I'm really not. But yeah, it's just little things like that can really make a difference. Also, try maybe running in long socks or calf guards, because it could be maybe that you're tight, they're tightening and the lactic acid's building up. And
is compression a fad, or does it actually work?
it's both. It
Right.
is completely down to the person. You can be completely biased on this. The research is there, but it's really hard, because the problem is that it's hard to test compression. A friend of mine did her dissertation actually on ultra runners and their perception of, does compression work?
Yeah.
And it was inconclusive.
Oh, how
it was
annoying.
literally
Yeah.
50% said yes, 50% said no. Then when she went into the ones that did it was just like, why do you think it works for you? Half of them said they don't know why it works. The other half kind of had some, oh, well, it squeezes everything, so it pumps everything back out. And it's basically, if it works for you, go with it.
Yeah.
And you don't need to have a fancy price tag of £100 pair of compression tights. You can pick them up for about £20 and be just as good.
Even cheaper at Subsports.
They've got a sale on right now, haven't
sale.
they? Nice.
Stuff. All right, so that's really cool. At the end of the day, there's so many different things that you can do. You just got to find something that works.
Yeah, exactly. And it's back to the whole, like, you don't need a fancy gym membership.
Yeah.
You know, you can go for a trail run, find a tree to climb.
Yeah.
It's all good fun. You don't need to have a specialist wall to climb. Just find a tree.
Yeah.
Find a park bench to do your box jumps onto. Unless you're like me and you faceplant regularly.
And need a soft landing.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's really cool. All right, so we'll do one more question.
Yeah.
So this one's from Justine. So to do with shoulder injuries. So she's getting pinching feeling at the top of the shoulder when she tries to put any weight through it, which means that she can't do handstands.
Oh, dude,
which
that
is like a
sucks.
totally big thing right now, is handstands. I mean, I'm getting the headstand right.
Yeah, same here.
But not the handstand.
Handstands, I go through phases of, yes, I'm throwing myself forwards and I'm not getting up there. And then the next time I go to do it and I bail out to the side and I look like a fool. One of these days, ladies, there will be a handstand video of me.
Yeah, there will.
There will. So usually when you get the pinch in the front of the shoulder, it can be a couple of causes. It can be a muscular cause, which for the vast majority it is. Particularly actually, if this is the Justine I think it is, she loves her upper body workout. You know, she's a beast. Absolute beast, Justine. So it's most likely to be a muscular cause, which can be where there's a little crevice in the front of the humerus, your upper arm bone, where the biceps tendon goes through. And what can sometimes happen is when we decide to start bulking up, it can rub in there a little bit and get a little bit inflamed. So when you go into the handstand position, it kind of catches.
Okay.
So that can be one bit. If it is that, then dig your thumb in and do a little bit of cross frictions back and forth. which
that
is where
hurts
you rub.
people. That hurts. Don't do it.
Do it. It's so good. And when I say cross-fiction, so you literally just rub back and forth really quickly. I'd recommend getting it checked out to make sure it is definitely muscular. There are a couple of other things that can happen within the shoulder. But when it comes to shoulders, the best thing you can do is work on your stability before you work on your strength.
Okay.
And again, hanging is the best thing. Just dead hangs.
Is that just to get the joint used to?
Yeah, so your shoulder joint is basically a ball and socket joint that is supported by a load of muscles. And those muscles basically are what holds it there. No, you need to get those working and firing up to actually get before you can get them strong, because if they build in strength first, you can end up with imbalances, and you can have a powerfully strong muscle but a functionally useless one. Oof. We've all seen those guys that are the size of a cloud when they walk down the road that can bench press 20 elephants, but actually if you get them to put their arm into their side at a 90-degree angle and you try and push their arm out, they can't stop you because they don't have that actual stability. So this is where this goes back to our primal days, or our days of being monkeys. Hanging from trees, things like that really works on those muscles. And you can do, for people that maybe can't do pull-ups, you can do something called, like, they've got lots of different names, but like scaptions or just the shoulder pull-up part.
Shoulder shrug.
Shoulder shrugs, yeah. Where you just move those and you start working on getting that movement through the joint. So, I mean, there are other causes that can cause the pain in the shoulder, but I'd probably go see a masseur or somebody. And
I think with all these things, I always say now, I mean, I'm a student, so I don't have a lot of money, but I always say that you can't always rely on the GP, and that's not because the GP, at the end of the day, they're underfunded, they're over, subscribed. And not every GP believes in functional movement and things like that. Yeah. So they've got their own ways of doing things. So don't wait for the doctor. If you think that you can find the money to do it, invest in yourself and go and see someone.
100%. We don't look after ourselves enough these days. And that includes me. I used to be just as bad for running through injuries and trying to do things. And it's kind of only as I've got a bit older and a bit uglier that I've started going, okay, I'm an idiot and I need to practice what I preach. Yeah. There was, I don't know if anyone saw it a couple of years ago. Some of you might know who the person was, but I'm not going to name names. But there was somebody that posted up that they'd pulled their shoulder. Oh, well, I've got 7 more races of the year to do. And they carried on. And then the next year they put a post up going, wish I hadn't, got to go for surgery now. So I think we need to just be a little bit smarter. And what might seem like a minor sprain at the time could turn into something bigger. So is that one race worth your health if you've got an injury? Yeah. I know people spend so much time building up and training and they psych themselves up for these events, but sometimes you've got to let the ego go and just go, I need to have 3 or 4 weeks off. Yeah. And just let it sort itself out. Because again, we've seen it in the Mud Queens group a few times where people have posted up going, oh, I've had this injury, it's now 3 months later and it still hasn't gone. And then you realise they've done 5 races in that time and they've still been running, going to the gym, and they haven't actually just rested. Yeah,
I think I've done the same, where I'm like, screw it, I'm going to do it anyway. Because it's almost like, I did it, and I was injured, so nah. Yeah. Yeah, I think my mindset has changed quite a lot over the time anyway, and I just think that I'd rather, because I am carrying an injury at the moment, I went to McTuff at the beginning of the year, I ran McTuff and actually probably made my injury worse. And so I've been working really hard on it since then. Yeah. And I just think invest in yourself so that, you're going to come back stronger rather than delaying that recovery and making that recovery longer.
And mindset is really important. I used to be really bad for beating myself up if I didn't do something. Yeah. I didn't. If I had a race booked, I still did it because I was injured, because I didn't want people to look at me and go, oh, the fat chick's not doing the race. When actually nowadays I look at it and go, I'm not going to be an idiot. I'm going to come back fighting for the next one. My target is to get back to Worlds this year. I wanted to be an age category, but, I broke my wrist at Worlds last year without realising, pulled a hamstring, only really I haven't even started running properly yet. I've been out for a couple here and there, but nothing like I really want to. So whether I go as age category or journeywoman this year doesn't matter to me, because actually the environment was so fucking awesome. But I've got to train smart, and if I want to go, then
you've got to put the ego aside.
Yeah, and that's something I'm learning to do, and I'm at a stage in my life now where I'm a bit like, sod it, I don't care what people think of me. And if you judge me because I've pulled out a race because I'm injured, are you somebody I should be going to for advice?
True story.
Yeah, it's basically going back to living with my mother, if that's the case.
All right, that's getting a little bit too far into mindset.
Too far into mindset,
Shall we move on?
And actually it's father, not mother. But, hey-ho, potatoes, potatoes, unicorns, whatever.
Tomatoes, tomatoes.
Tomatoes, tomatoes, Bath or Bath?
Bath.
It is Bath, yes.
Bath.
And every Northern Mud Queen's gang, it's Bath!
And probably those from the Midlands too, which is technically the North anyway.
Well, yeah, it is for us.
Yeah. Love it. Okay, so we've answered some questions, and they are really good questions, I think, because I think a lot of people can suffer from, the ankle issues, plantar fasciitis. We see a lot as well.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that you follow that you think, or you read, or keep on top of, that you think that people perhaps, if they want to read more or look into more, who would you suggest they go and?
Oh God, so many. I mean.
You got a bit of a crush on
Katie Bowden.
That's it.
Yeah, Katie Bowden. So she is a kind of a biomechanics specialist, but in the American accent they say it slightly differently and give it a slightly different name. And she's amazing. She basically looks at exercise versus movement. And actually, if you speak to your average person and you say, how much movement do you do in a day? They respond with, oh, I sometimes do a 30-minute run. Or I go to the gym. And actually movement and exercise are two completely different things. Exercise is an intentional movement, i.e. I'm going for a run, I'm going to the gym, where movement is something as simple as looking left with just your eyeballs. And your average person just doesn't move as much. We sit at a desk all day, so we get tight hip flexors. Then we go and beast ourselves at the gym and we wonder why we get that ache in our lower back. So, I mean, Joe actually is an advocate the same as me on this one. We've swapped to standing desks because I was starting to sit so much. I was starting to get back problems with all the studying that I've been doing. So now I stand on one leg. I've got a wobble mat that I stand on. Sometimes my husband will walk in and I'll be doing some weird ass squat position. But it's actually, my pain has reduced dramatically that I was having.
I just thought about a song then. I was like, it's all about them squats.
About them squats. No
back pain.
It's all about them squats. Anyway, sorry about that. I'm so easily distracted. Oh, shiny thing. And the book is fascinating. And she also talks about getting back to hanging and movement and being more mindful in how we move and do things. I mean, she even goes to the extreme of the convenience of we don't respect our food anymore because a lot of people have started buying like ready chopped butternut squash or things like that, and you take out the emotional, not the emotional aspect, but the thought behind the food that you're eating.
Yeah.
And you're taking out the action that helps burn the calories. I mean, it's not a huge amount, but it's still the burning of calories to prep that food that then you eat. And one of the things that really astounded me that she spoke about was that in Canada they did a health statistics thing, study thing. Yeah, thing, future doctor here, study. And your average Canadian teenager only walks for 11 minutes a day, from getting up from their bedroom, walking down the stairs. Of course, Canada's a big place, so they get to the car, they get driven to school, they sit in the classroom, walk to the canteen, then they might sit on their phone, go back to classes, then they get home, they walk back up the stairs and they sit on their computer talking to their friends or whatever, and suddenly you think, wow, that's insane that somebody could only walk for 11 minutes in a day. I mean, I walk as much as I can.
So that's like, because there was that article that was doing the rounds about how, these stepper tracker things weren't really good for you. But to be fair,
I think they are.
Even if they miscalculate how many steps you're doing, it's actually making people move more to get those steps.
Yeah, it's making people more mindful. I knew somebody that used to go and pace in their garden until they hit their steps. I'm quite competitive, and luckily I lost my Fitbit because I think Tash, a friend of mine, would probably have killed me in the end because it would get to 10:30 at night and would be like, she's 500 steps ahead of me. So then I'd be like, Kev, I'm going down the shop. And I would go down the shop for something and I'd get a text going, you bitch, I've got to go down the shop now. And then she'd go running off down the shop. So they are good because they make people think about movement. Whether it's a gimmick or not is your choice. They're obviously not good if you work with your hands.
Yes.
I did a horse massage once, which particularly means you stand in one spot predominantly, move around the horse a few times, but I clocked up like 3 miles, apparently, according to my Fitbit, while just stood massaging a horse. Shows how much I move my arms on that. But, So you do have to be a
3 miles
little bit logical with the trackers, and don't take them at their word of being completely accurate. But, you know, they are great to make people think, and anything that makes somebody think more and want to improve themselves and be more mindful, I think is actually a great thing.
Yeah. No. I think it's invest in yourself. Look at what you're doing, and if you're happy with it, then all right, don't do anything. But
yeah,
I know that Katie Bowden, she was Bowden.
Bowden. I'm not sure how Margaret says it. Margaret Schlechter. Which, by the way, if you haven't listened to the Dirt in Your Skirt podcast, no offence, I've also done the Mud Queen one, but Margaret's podcasts are amazing.
Yeah.
So much inspiration.
She features some awesome women.
Yeah.
What? You're
really,
oh my God.
Yeah, everything from female beekeepers, female farmers, to Jessie Graff, obviously the famous Ninja Warrior / OCR racer.
Rose Wetzel.
Rose Wetzel, yeah. I mean,
Lindsay
she's
Webster.
had one male on. She had Wim Hof, who's known as the Iceman.
Bloody nut job.
Yeah, he's absolutely insane, but he's so inspirational.
Yeah.
It's insane. You're just you're listening to him like, oh my God, he's crazy. But I want to keep listening.
Oh. But yeah, so, I mean, yeah, check out her podcast. We do share that podcast when it comes out every Tuesday, so she's awesome. All right, so we've gone through loads of stuff, and rather than, we don't want to be all preachy and stuff.
No.
So let's change gears for a moment before we disappear. So I know that you've set yourself a challenge.
Yes, I have. Some of you may have seen my little post the other week where I've decided to do a 5k naked run next year in May 2018.
Why the fuck do you want to do that?
Because one of my things, the last few years, I've been having a huge mindset change and how I want to be, how the person that I want to make myself into. Without sounding all hippie-ish, we're all on our personal journeys and we all have our targets. And one of my things is my body image. I look in the mirror and whether I see how I look or not, I'm not happy with what I see.
Yeah.
And one of the things I really hate is the thought of being naked. Quite frankly, the thought of my fanny being out in public is terrifying. And there was last year a couple of awesome OCR ladies did this naked 5k. A couple of them that did have body issues, and it was utterly inspirational.
Yeah.
I then got invited this year, and I was like, no. And then actually within 24 hours, I'd sat there and gone, why am I saying no? And why
are you waiting?
Why am I waiting? Why am I saying no? So I've given it fuck it. I've got a year to learn to love myself because I'm going to be running naked. And for anyone that wishes to join me, you're more than welcome. I'm not meaning to make it a thing. It's just part of my journey. And if anyone wants to join me, they're more than welcome. Because I think it's just something I've just decided I've got to do. I've got to get naked in public and go, this is my body. Hello. I already find that I don't mean to say bigger, but as a bigger than most of my friends racer, I do get quite a lot of people going, oh my God, I could never climb a rope. I could never do this. It's like, put your mind to it.
Yeah.
Train. I bought a rope off of eBay that I tied to my pull-up bar and just kept practicing the J-hook until I got that bit, because climbing a rope isn't about brute strength.
To be fair,
technique.
right? I'm smaller than you.
Yeah.
We already know I have tiny trunk hands.
You do have tiny hands, yes.
Yeah.
Freakishly
tiny hands. But to be fair, there is actually a lot of stuff that you can do better than I can. So it really isn't about size.
No, size isn't anything. And I think this is what I'm trying to drum into myself, is I've spent a lot of years letting my size stop me from doing anything. I then had a mindset change where I was like, fuck it, my mind, there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to do this stuff. And the last big thing is that kind of being naked thing.
That's the I think that is, even for me, I'm like, that would be, because you are literally, no pun intended, you are laid bare. You are bare for everyone.
Apart from the fact that I'll be growing the lady garden a bit more.
I mean, yes. It's not quite when you want to be going, landing strip or less.
No, exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong. I got told off because I said to somebody that all I want to do is run that next year shouting, I'm streaking! And they were like, no, you don't do that at a nudist run because they're all naked as well. Which then led on to my, oh, well, I'm a free elf kind of thing. It's like, oh, look, it's Dobby. He's a free elf. He's got a sock. Apparently that's not acceptable either.
Oh.
So I'm going to find...
to this.
Wow, whether it's rules or whether it's just...
It's like social boundaries for the naturist.
Is there social boundaries? I mean, obviously there's certain comments you wouldn't come out with, but...
Well, I mean, there must be social boundaries because it's not like you can rock up and then just, stare.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Being a carer for many years, and obviously with the massage, I'm used to naked bodies. I'm used to levels of nudity. I think it's myself that the problem is with on that front. And I know certainly I wouldn't be staring at others because I'm used to it. I mean, when I first started working in the hospital, working on an elderly ward, you see a lot of willies and vaginas. You really do. So you learn not to judge. I don't judge people on any of that stuff. So this is what for me is just to understand that they're not going to judge me.
And if they do,
fuck them.
Nice. I went for a slightly downgraded version of that.
No.
Which is shocking for me, I know.
I know, that is. I think I've been quite bad with my language, so sorry.
Yeah, I'll quack it out. Awesome. Okay, so I would really love to hear all about that next time. So we will have to get you back on. Thank you so much for being on.
Naked run. Yep.
Yeah, baby. I would say we want pictures, but I don't think you're allowed pictures, are you?
No, I think there is an area you can take pictures in. I'm not 100% sure. If there is an area, then you will get a butt photo, I'm sure.
Yay,
or something. I might write like UK Mud Queens on my butt. Who knows?
Yeah, can we put a tattoo on your butt?
Yeah, why not?
Amazing.
Okay, there we are.
Doing that.
Oh my god, can I use them as nipple covers?
Oh, yes. Yes.
So take a look at my nipple. It is not my nipple. It is a UKMQ.
Yes, love it. All right, so we digress.
We do that a lot.
So we'll leave it there for now. So thank you very much for coming on and talking about that. If anybody does want to get in touch with you about what you've talked about, how can they do that?
They can just drop me a message. I'm absolutely happy to talk about anything. Obviously, I'm not talking in a medical professional capacity. Predominantly, I'm talking from my sports massage knowledge. As I'm not a qualified chiropractor yet, I've got 8 weeks before I can say that. But I just really want to say thank you for having me on. I hope I've helped somebody. I might have just annoyed somebody else, who knows. But yeah, feel free to get in contact with me. I'm happy to discuss most things. And if you're interested in the Naked Run, give me a shout. I think Joe did create a Mud Queen event. And the more the merrier in my eyes.
Yeah.
Just remember it's a mixed sex event.
Yes.
Not just women.
Yes.
Sports bras are allowed for bustier ladies like myself. Although, as I'm doing it, I'm just going to go the whole hog. But I might not run it because I could risk taking a few eyes out.
Yes.
Hashtag big boob problems.
Hashtag concussion.
Yes.
All right, so just want to shout out to say that obviously it is April, so it is Mud Queen's 3rd birthday. A big thank you to every single Mud Queen that has made Mud Queens what it is and that we've got to our 3rd birthday. I know that Lucy and Faye work really hard.
Yeah, they do.
As well, you
three guys rock. You really do.
You. Aww, I'm gonna have to get my head through the door.
Aww.
So yeah, and really really grateful to all of the companies that have donated to our 3rd year. Every year they've been so helpful with all their donations. So Judgment Day, Elements, Tiki Boo, Scimitar. I'm going to forget some, so I'll leave it there. But thank you very much, and hopefully we shall have another interesting person for you all to listen to it come May. So, goodbye.